Good morning.
Eeny, beanie, chilly beanie. The spirits are about to speak. Are they friendly spirits? Just listen. Bullwinkle is a dope. Not that lesson. This lesson. Today, I want to talk to you seriously about silliness. That's right, silliness with a capital S-I-L-L-I-ness. Silliness. And since nobody likes to talk about silliness by themselves, I have a green friend who is a house guest staying indefinitely, and he's going to assist me. Welcome, Kermit Frog! Yay!
Cute.
Anyway, Kermit has a touch of laryngitis. That's okay, because we have a telepathic link. So, we're going to communicate that way. Should I tell him about my dream that okay. He says I should tell you about the dream I had the other night. Now, it was the night of the full moon. I don't know if you saw it, but it was big, round, yellow in the sky, and it was right in my eyes. And I couldn't sleep because of that. And equally, I was tossing and turning, and I was thinking, what am I going to talk about? I have so much to talk about. What am I going to talk about? And eventually, this led me to one sentence, which was 2 words long, and it said, serious silliness. That got me excited. I wrote it down. It was 3 a.m. I didn't think I'd remember it the next morning. So when I woke up the next morning, I also remembered a documentary that I was watching. And Kermit likes that documentary. Anyway, it's about an original, unique American artist named Wayne White. And Wayne White used to do all the puppets and set designs in the Pee Wee Herman show, which I think it was called Pee Wee's Playhouse or something like that. And this was like 10 or 20 years ago that was going on. And it was on Saturday mornings, and I remember a lot of adult friends of mine, we liked watching it too. We'd get up and watch that show. It was so different. But anyway, after he left working on that show, he ended up going back to his first real love, which was painting. And of course, his paintings were very different and very unique. And he went to making these ginormous kind of puppets out of cardboard boxes and recycled goods and all that kind of stuff. I mean, huge, huge. And unfortunately, or fortunately, he uses the F word a lot throughout this whole documentary. But it's sort of in a way that makes you laugh. It's not really offensive. Oh, yes, Kermit, he uses the word frog a lot, yes. The gist of this story is that he is silly and talented, and he makes us laugh. And a clown that is serious about his artwork, and he does that. He just makes you laugh. And he's totally in it. And he's serious about being silly. So when he was first hanging his first art show in the LA area, many people came and they laughed and they enjoyed it and they were shocked, and even the critics liked it and they laughed and they enjoyed it. And yet they just didn't take him seriously enough to buy his artwork, didn't think it was worth it because it was too much fun. How could it be worth so much if it was just so much fun? But he just kept on doing it because it was something that he loved. And eventually he became a success because the critics also began to question why it could not be considered serious, great, and worthy just because it made you laugh and feel good. So the execution that he did on them and all his technique, it was really terrific and beautiful. So sometimes when we think something is foolish or crazy, the seeds of genius are about to bloom. They're about to bloom. And we can celebrate that cosmic force within us that wants us to be happy and to laugh. After all, Kermit would not be here today. It's correct, isn't it? If Jim Henson hadn't, in silliness, created the Muppets. However you define silliness, ludicrous behavior, the lack of good sense, or judgment, a condition of frivolity, or trivial or superficial, or just a quick way to feel good. Think on this. Silliness influences future health, well-being, and resiliency, and triggers positive thinking and positive actions. Breath worker expert Bert Lyons argues, never heard of this guy before until yesterday, but he argues that many adults, especially couples, do not stay with their feelings in the moment. They just get into being right. Yeah, that was me. That was me the other day. Instead, he suggests if we would be silly and jump up and down and growl and gruff, silliness would probably change the emotional climate, and usually does. As I'm embracing my silliness, I have found that I'm in great company. Because this closing story that I'm going to tell you comes from Greg Braden. And I've never thought of him as silly before, but he is a metaphysical writer, a researcher, a scientist, a speaker type guy. And synchronistically, I found it online yesterday being shared under the title Silly Saturday, which of course I renamed Silly Sunday, which I did for this talk, of course. So I leave you with it and hope your Sunday in life is as silly and as positive as it can be. So I'm going to read you this story. It's just short. A burglar broke into a house one night. He shined his flashlight around looking for valuables, when a voice in the dark said, "Jesus knows you're here." He nearly jumped out of his skin, clicked the flashlight off, and froze. When he heard nothing more, he shook his head and continued. Just as he pulled the stereo out so he could disconnect the wires, clear as a bell, he heard, "Jesus is watching you." Startled, he shined the light around, frantically looking for the source of the voice. Finally, in the corner of the room, his flashlight came to rest on a parrot. "Did you say that?" he hissed at the parrot. "Yes," the parrot confessed, then squawked, "I'm just trying to warn you that he's watching you." The burglar relaxed. "Warn me? Huh? Who in the world are you?" "Moses," replied the bird. "Moses?" The burglar laughed. "What kind of people would name a bird Moses?" The parrot remarked, "The kind of people who would name a Rottweiler Jesus." Come on, I'll get you some flies.